So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. In celebration of Christmas, we've selected Elf. Great movie. It's about a man who thinks he's an elf. He was told he was an elf. He was adopted as a little boy. Brought up in the home of the elves. Eventually he says he is sent on a journey to find his father. What's interesting about this movie is that it brings out something in management that all managers were very frustrated with, and that is how to manage performance and what to do to help people and team members become better performers. This movie brings out really well how to do it and how not to do it. It's a boy who grows up as an elf because he was in an adoption home, and he snuck into Santa's bag, and Santa inadvertently took him to the North Pole.
He must have snuck into your sack at the orphanage.
So there was an elf who adopted him, and he raised him as an elf, but of course, you know, as it is hard to have tough conversations, they didn't let him know that he was not an elf.
If he hasn't figured out he's a human by now, I don't think he ever will.
Now, there's a problem that arises in the North Pole that causes the rest of the movie to happen, which has everything to do with what we're talking about, and that is that he was not a good performer, and the concept and idea of low performance carries throughout the movie, in that there's people that are trying to tell others, look, you're not a good performer, and I have ways to prove that you're not a good performer.
Your father, well, he's on the naughty list.
So again, that sets the whole tone. No, my goodness, my dad is on the bad list. I got to get him out of one list to another. Another place where you see it is where they're measuring the spirit of Christmas. There's a gauge. Another place is where he's actually in New York and he walks past the coffee shop and it says the greatest coffee in the world. There it is.
You did it! Congratulations! World's best cup of coffee.
Of course, there's, later in the movie they point out that it's a horrible cup of coffee.
It is a crappy cup of coffee.
No, it's the world's best cup of coffee.
So what the movie brings out really well is managing performance through a measurable way of logging, tracking it, and looking at it on a regular basis. Where we see that is in two scenes. The one scene is where they're in the workshop and Buddy is having a hard time just moving fast. But then the managing elf comes by and says,
Just how many Etch-a-Sketches did you get finished? Come on, buddy, how many?
I made, 85.
And there and right there, that's where management does a fantastic job.
That puts you 915 off the pace.
He pulls out a log and he can verify that, yeah, you are way behind. The second scene where this pops up is his actual biological father, and he's in a discussion with one of his printers. And his printer tells him, look,
2 whole pages are missing. The story doesn't make any sense.
A reprint. You know how much that's going to cost?
a few weeks later, the owner of the publishing company comes in and holds him accountable.
She wants to know how a certain puppy and a certain pigeon escaped the clutches of a certain evil witch.
We're already looking for new printers. This one has obviously gotten a little sloppy.
He brought the book out and said, "You signed, didn't you?"
That's your signature, right?
That does not happen.
You see, it's something objective. This is your signature. I'm going to hold you accountable to something that's measurable, something that's clear, something that's objective. It is not just because I'm trying to be a bad guy.
You're just special.
That's when things start falling apart for the manager, is we don't know what to do with the buddy elves of the world.
And so, Buddy was sent where the special elves work.
Let's take this bad performer and let's kind of just go ahead and move him over here to where we put bad performers, and you have the scene where he becomes a toy tester. And he knows that he's just being put over there in that section because he can't perform over there. In one aspect, the elf did a great job of managing with the numbers, with reports, but he didn't know what to do with the low-performing elf. So what he should have done is should have said, all right, let's go and train you. Let's go and show you how to do it. Another is the scene where he's in this office with his dad, and he's reading the corner, and of course his dad's trying to concentrate, and Buddy Elf keeps talking, Will Ferrell keeps talking, and his dad just doesn't know what to do with him, so he comes up with this grand idea.
But have you ever seen a mailroom?
A mailroom? No.
No.
To the mailroom.
Well, I don't think this is the place my dad was talking about. Is there a different mailroom?
That type of managing folks, of pushing them off because I don't want to have to deal with them, that's not healthy. That's not what good managers do. Interestingly enough, his dad, his adoptive father, he decides to move him into another area to avoid him not being part of the North Pole activities.
You want to give me a hand with that?
You want me to help?
You'll notice at the back end of the movie where, sure enough, the work that he had done in the shop actually paid out because he knew how to fix that toy. Don't wait for the 6-month review. Don't wait for the 12-month review. Manage performance through something that's written down. It doesn't have to take a long time to coach somebody to the numbers. Here's where you're doing well, and here's where you're not doing well. Managers, what they do is they grab their people, they meet with them on a regular basis, they go over their numbers, they don't just put them in a closet, they don't have to avoid them, they coach them, they train them, they retrain them, and they make sure that they put them back on a week-to-week, bi-weekly, at least once a month review on how your retraining has gotten you up to. After 20 years of training lots of companies and lots of individuals, I can say the vast majority of people, they respond well, they appreciate it, it's somewhat awkward, but they bounce back because they just need to know, how am I performing? How am I not performing? Can you help me? Grab your eggnog, watch the movie, enjoy it. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you at the movies.
Sorry.